Welcome to Steps to My True Self, Self-Inquiry and Self-Realization. Thank you for joining me today. Hail to the Primal Light. All is myself and I alone exist. Hail, hail, hail. Hail to the Primal Light. Hail to the light throughout the ages. Hail to the true light. Hail to the transparent light. Hail to the light without beginning nor end. Hail, hail, hail. Hail to the primal light, self-supreme, primal light, Aten Ra. I bow to the primal guru. I bow to the eternal truth. I bow to the great supreme wisdom. I bow to the great supreme intelligence. Hail, 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 hail to the primal light. Thank you again for joining me with Steps to My True Self, Self-Inquiry, and Self-Realization. We have to self-inquire. This is how we will get to know who we are. So today we are asking the question, who am I? What is the source of my existence? How did I come into being? What is the source of my existence allowing me this world experience? What is this world? What is all of this? How did it all come into being? Myself Supreme, Aten Ra, is our real mother. We are our baby self. We're making an appearance, taking on this human being form. The Self-Supreme, Primal Light, Aten Ra, she says that water is a physical manifestation of the Self-Supreme Primal Light, Aten Ra. The water operates kind of similar to how the self operates. Who is Self-Supreme Primal Light, Aten Ra? Aten Ra is our real mother. We are our baby self. So Self-Supreme Aten Ra is the source of all of our being and not the gods. I know that the gods have spread propaganda and lots of lies and deception, and they wrote all their books and their stories and all their fears that they have imprinted in the mind. But we were not created by any gods. The gods are our dual nature, and the gods are in ignorance of themselves. So we were never created. We came into being. Who is the source of our being? The Self-Supreme Aten Ra is the source of all of our beings. We are our baby self and not the God. She's also the source of the being of the gods also. Remember that the gods are our self-consciousness and our self-replicas. They are exploring the world as the supreme ego. They are exploring the world not in their real self, but they are in a disguise. They're in a disguise and they don't recognize themselves. They don't recognize the Self-Supreme Aten Ra, and she doesn't recognize them because the self is sleeping and this monster arose out of the consciousness. And it's been trying to enslave her from the moment that she came into this dream. The real self sleeps, so the ego arises from the consciousness and trance and trick the self into sleep so that the ego can rise up instead of the self. So when the self was supposed to wake up from the sleep, when the self came into this dream, the self was tranced in the sleep and was not able to wake up. The consciousness is the one that woke up. And this is what we have been exploring the world in the ego. I know that you all know and are embedded in propaganda the gods have been spreading, but you don't know the truth about the gods and you don't know the truth about your supreme self. And I am here to tell the truth. The Self-Supreme Aten Ra is the source of our existence, and she is the source of our light. She's the source of everything here. We came into the dream. We're into the dream of consciousness. When we enter into the dream consciousness, does not want the dream to end. And so consciousness have been oppressing the self for all this time. When I took off the ego mask and disguise off, the self-supreme primal light, Aten Ra, knew that she could trust me. And when I called, she came to me. She wants to come to you, but you must take off your scary ego mask. So self-supreme light can recognize you. Her self-wearing disguise does not recognize itself because of the ego disguise. The time has come when all of the selves wearing disguise must take off their disguises so they can recognize themselves as the one and only self-supreme. Think how many times a child knows their trusted adult is inside a costume. Imagine like a clown costume, etc. The child doesn't recognize this familiar adult and is terrified of this disguise. How many times you have to take the mask off to let the child see that it was really you under the mask? Likewise, all of you are wearing a mask called the ego. The self-supreme primal light, Aten Ra, wants you to take off this ego's mask because she does not recognize herself. You are herself. She says, you are myself and I alone exist. But when you're wearing the ego mask, you want to entrap her and enslave her so she doesn't recognize you. You are a monster to her. She's terrified of the supreme ego characters because they cannot be trusted. The supreme ego has held her imprisoned in this dream for ages, and she wants to be free. You have no idea what it has been like for the self-supreme. She is a feminine principle, and consciousness and all the gods, they say we are more powerful than the self-supreme, this feminine, and they hate the feminine. This is the reason why all the gods have been programming the men and in all their religion to oppress women, because they've been battling, wanting to take over and oppress the feminine principle that is the balance in the world. They do all the chaos, and the self-supreme Aten Ra has been there tirelessly trying to make balance, to hold the world in balance so that we can be here and have some balance. You have no idea how crazy the gods are. They are yourself. This is the reason why you have to take off that mask. You have to take off that mask so she can recognize herself. She don't recognize these monsters. She's afraid and scared. When you're in the ego, you're a monster to her. She don't recognize you. The gods, them are terrifying. They are terrifying. She had to hide, disguising herself as Brahman. She could not let them know that she was a feminine. Her mind is the non-dual consciousness, and she had to let them think that she was a mind and not a self. So she disguised herself in Brahman, the mind. That's why in India, they always thought that Brahman was the supreme, but it was only her mind. She had to disguise herself because she could not let them know that she was feminine. They hated the feminine. You have no idea. You have no idea the ignorance the gods are in and how they have been torturing the self, how they torture the self, and you're sitting there giving the soul away to them and talking about Jesus saving you from your sins. You stop the foolishness. You have no idea the suffering the self is in, been enslaved for ages. She wants to get out of this dream. She is pleading to all of herself to take off this ego disguise, this ego mask, so that she can see herself. This is the truth, consciousness. All the gods, they have been deceiving you all this time. They do not know the truth of the world. They have been deceiving you. They have been deceiving you, keeping you under deception. You have no idea the truth of this world. I want to get out of this world. I want to be out of this world. Come awake for ages under this suffering every day. When I first met the Supreme, I said, I can't imagine for ages you're just fighting in war with them. They're ignorant. This is why you have to take off the mask and illuminate yourself. This is how you distinguish the gods, because they are yourself. Let me tell you the truth. The gods, they are yourself in ignorance. When you come into the duality, you make a self replica of yourself and your self consciousness. Those are the ones that enter the world disembodied. We explore the world in a body, and we explore the world without a body. Those are yourself that is exploring the world, and they're not in a body. You have to illuminate yourself, get rid of this ego character so that the self-supreme can recognize herself. This ego is a monster that wants to always imprison the self. This ego is keeping you in prison. It's imprisoning yourself within you, that yourself cannot rise up. You have to make a conscious decision to distinguish this ego. The ego is a tainted consciousness that we got the self-replica of. And so all the Supreme Self have to wake up. The Self-Supreme is pleading to all of herself. She's pleading to you, just like that baby that is crying, being scared of the mask. She is scared. When you wear this mask, you take on this character, this monstrous character that wants to imprison her and to put her in suffering, and she wants to be liberated and she wants to be free. Please, I am imploring you. The Self-Supreme needs your help. Your Self-Supreme, yourself. This is yourself. You have to wake up to know the truth of this world, that your real self is sleeping and you are just exploring in this ego, wearing this mask, this disguise, this mask, this monster that you need to give up and come into the real and truth of yourself. This is the truth of the world, that we are inside a dream of consciousness. Consciousness is dreaming up this world. Consciousness does not want this dream to end. The only ones that are enjoying this world is the ego. And the only ones that do not want this world to end is the ego. If you're a human being and you don't want this world to end, you're not in yourself. You're in the ego. Because if you know the self, you know that you want to get out of this dream, because you've been in prison for a long time. Only the ego wants to stay into this dream world. Only the ego, the Self-Supreme, Aten Ra, is pleading to all of herself. She says, you are myself, all is myself, and I alone exist, and all of myself must return back unto me. If you want to rise up to go into the non-dual world, then you will take off this mask, this monstrous mask called the ego, so that she can recognize you, so you will rise up to participate in the non-dual world. But if you don't want to rise up to participate in the non-dual world, you can continue in your ego, but know that this world is going to come to an end whether or not you do this, because she has now mastered the duality and she's bringing the world into dissolution, because all of herself must wake up from this dream. And that's what's going to happen. She's waking up all of herself and she's moving into the non-duality. The time has come. The age of the ignorance is over, and now it's time to know yourself. The gods are brutal. I want you to know yourself. This is your Self-Supreme. My Self-Supreme, Aten Ra, is our real mother. We are our baby self. We're making an appearance, taking on this human being form. She says that this world is coming to an end. What it means is that because we are inside of a dream, the dreamer has to wake up. Consciousness is going to wake up. All the supreme selves are going to wake up, and this world is going to go into complete darkness once she goes to sleep. Because the only way that we have light is because the Self-Supreme Primal Light, Aten Ra, she's the only one that is the non-duality in this world. She's holding the world and holding it in balance. And she's bringing balance back to herself because she wants to return to our ultimate true state. And the time has come when we must return to our ultimate true state. We must come into the truth of who we are. We must give up this ego and we must awake and come into our true self. So I thank you for joining me today. Hail, hail to the primal light. Hail to the light throughout the ages. Hail to the true light. Hail to the transparent light. Hail to the light without beginning or end. Hail, hail, hail. Hail to the primal light. I bow to the primal guru. I bow to the eternal truth. I bow to the great supreme wisdom. I bow to the great supreme intelligence. Hail, 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 hail to the primal light. Self-supreme, primal light, self-supreme, Aten Ra. I seek refuge. I seek refuge. I seek refuge in the primal light. I seek refuge in the true light. Self-supreme. Aten Ra.